Earlier in your career, you've talked a lot about selling yourself and building perception. And one of the strategies you used to do this was basically utilizing the media to craft proper messaging in the right form to the right people. Give an example of what worked and what didn't.
Oh, the single best thing that worked is my production of reports. My first report I named after myself, the Corcoran report. It was 7 sales, that's all we had for the year. 11 sales, that's what we had for the year. We had 7 salespeople. And I averaged out what the average sale was, put Corcoran report on the top of it, gave it a fancy byline, tradition, I can't remember, it was long-winded, conditions and blah, 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 blah in the New York City marketplace, sounded fancy, put a date on it, and I put average Manhattan sale. It came out to $54,800, I think, if I'm remembering right. But here's what happened. I mailed it out to anybody who wrote for the New York Times that day, sports writers, news writers, whatever. Mailed it out myself, and you know, in 2 weeks I opened up the front page of the real estate section, and the headline reads, New York City prices hit all-time low. And then the first line said, according to Barbara Corcoran. I thought it was a Catholic miracle my mother had always told me about. It wasn't. It was good PR. And so I started churning out reports for the entire rest of my career. And let me tell you what's great about news coverage. I could take a full-page ad out in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and say my company is the greatest in the world, and maybe 10% of people who will read it will believe it. But when you're constantly quoted as the expert in your field, everybody believes that you are. Okay?
Even if you're not.
It's an endorsement. Even if you're not, it's a third-party endorsement. And you want to know who has the corner on creativity in producing reports? It's never the big company. It's the little company. Because you, again, have nothing to lose. You don't have a reputation. You don't have to vet through your attorneys. You don't have layers of committees that have to discuss things. When you're a little guy, you have an idea, you slam it out there. My out there was always in the form of a statistical report. And me, who couldn't even do math, it's kind of funny, but bam, did it hit every time. And then eventually, within a few short years, if the media needed anything having to do with real estate, why did they come to me? Because they knew I had the numbers.
Would you say consistency is also part of that? Once you're known, just making sure you're continuously putting the same product out there?
Consistency is key to succeeding in anything. Parenting, business, playing checkers, whatever. You have to be consistent. I published every report every 6 months. You could set your clock by it. You know, and I also, after many years, had every competitor mimicking it, but they were never out on time. They were never consistent. And what does a reporter like to do? They like to do it the easy way, like all people do. And they come to the people they know they're going to get what they need. And I always had what they needed, no doubt about it.
What's an example of one time that you did something like this and it didn't work?
Didn't work. Oh. Well, actually, it always worked, but I've gotten in trouble, but for sure.
In what way?
All right. Well, I published a report called the Madonna Report, and because I had read in the morning paper that Madonna was pregnant, and so I figured she was going to be looking for an apartment. And so I made a list of what Madonna would be looking for. I mean, you could have written it, anybody could have. Okay, she was going to need another bedroom. Of course, she's having a baby, all right? She's going to need a doorman. She was rich. Good location. She was rich. Basically, it was a rich guy's list, right? And I published that out, called it the Madonna Report, and I was on 4 different 11 o'clock news stations in 1 week. And the last guy said, you are... Gosh, I still remember, I was so scared, I didn't know if I should hit the floor and confess, but he said, you're Barbara Corcoran, celebrity broker. I'm like, celebrity broker? I don't have a celebrity. But you want to know something? We got Richard Gere as a result of that particular newscast, because his agent or attorney or whoever the guy who called was said, you know, basically he thought I belonged in that space, asked me if I might consider working with the hottest guy in the movie business, Richard Gere. No problem. I wanted to marry the guy. But I took him. We sold him a 1-bedroom apartment in Greenwich Village, and then guess what happened as a result of that? I published a Richard Gere report, and before you know it, I was really a celebrity broker. Go figure. So back to your point, the perception is so much more important than the hard work you do. I'm not saying you don't do hard work. Nobody works harder than me. But if you can throw out an image, you know what's great about it? It's like putting a gun to your own head. You have to run like crazy to make it come true. Okay, it's a deadline. And so certainly that is the shortcut to building market share. By stealing the limelight, you really steal market share. It happens automatically.
In an age, though, where now we've got blogs and vlogs
What an
and videos
opportunity.
and everything else, opportunity, but also ethical dilemma,
Splintered.
I would imagine, too, in some ways. Because now you have a lot of people and companies that, frankly, are spending lots of money just to put out tons and tons of crap and to confuse consumers or to say what they're not. What would you say, ultimately, how does an entrepreneur stay at what they believe to be their moral compass in a situation like this?
Well, I think the rules there are very firm and very clear. You can't lie, okay? You could say what Madonna will be looking for, okay?
But you don't say, I represent Madonna, obviously.
And when asked, oh, are you working with Madonna? Obviously not. I wish I could, is what I would say. And she's having a baby, but let's blah, 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 and you start talking about the same information everybody knows about any celebrity, because it's all out there. No, I think what you must do is never lie. Short of that, you know, business is a game. I'm not trying to say that it's a bad game or anything. It's one of the most exciting games in the world. But gamemanship is, you have to have a little bit of chutzpah if you want to get ahead. And certainly in today's day, you have so many vehicles. It's multiplied times 1,000 so that everybody can create the perception of themselves exactly how they want it, because there's so many vehicles to put it out there.